you do want to be mindful that much like you look at your country club membership, right? If that country club was free, is that the kind of country club you'd want to be in? Are those the folks you want to be golfing with?
No, that's why I keep Alan out. Oh,
Right? So,
Sore subject, Jeremy.
yeah.
Thanks a lot.
Welcome to the Small Business Safari, where I help guide you to avoid those traps, pitfalls, and dangers that lurk when navigating the wild world of small business ownership. I'll share those gold nuggets of information and invite guests to help accelerate your ascent to that mountaintop of success. It's a jungle out there, and I want to help you traverse through the levels of owning your own business that can get you bogged down and distract you from hitting your own personal and professional goals. So strap in, adventure team, and let's take a ride through the safari and get you to the mountaintop.
don't leave it in my throat. That's what she said. Whoa, you can't say that, Alan. We're back on. We're
You
getting ready to
just
rock.
did.
I did too.
Yeah.
That was not good. In fact, you just got done saying, let's not be cringy on this one. And I'm like, but when you're cool, you're not cringy, man. You're cool.
Yeah, sometimes you can be cringy, though.
I can.
No.
Hey, so Alan, great to be back in the studio. And for the listeners, I think you guys have figured out Alan and I are good friends. We actually did some fun stuff outside of the podcast studio last week, and we went to a baseball game. And I think the best part of the baseball game was that it was Harry Potter night.
The nerds were out.
The nerds were out, and it was so funny. Alan comes up and goes, well, what are you guys doing here? To one guy, and the guy doesn't even look him in the eye, and he says, I'm here for the shirt.
I asked him, I go, so how much is the jersey? And he never made eye contact, staring at his shoes the whole time. It was part of the package.
I love it.
Because, I mean, we walked into the stadium, and I mean, it was a good crowd. It was a great night. And there's this huge line of people facing the wrong way. And the game just started. And I'm like, what are they doing? And then we had to piece it all together. Harry Potter night.
It was Harry Potter night at the Atlanta Braves game at Truist Park, and they all got Harry Potter jerseys, which we were not privy to because we obviously did not buy that package, even though I have season tickets.
And I would have probably picked one up for some people that I know if I could figure out how to do it, but I wasn't getting any inside information. What's funny is you know, you and I are good friends, and everybody that listens knows you're a human hummingbird. And I would tell people the next day, yeah, I was at the ball game last night, and they're like, oh, who pitched? And I'm like, yeah, I have no idea.
Yeah, Chris just was talking old time.
I was barely aware of the score.
Yeah.
I did get a video of Chris trying to use a Harry Potter spell to make the Braves hit, and it didn't work.
No, I'm actually saving that one up, and I'm gonna add fire to the fingertips on that one. So, because that's what we're all about here in fairy tale fantasy land, and that is Harry Potter world of let's go make business happen. Let's just go start a business willy-nilly, no idea what we're doing, cast a spell, and then bang, we're gonna make big bucks. Just got done talking to somebody who actually had not listened to our podcast. And I said, I think you really need to. And I said, I'm not saying that because I want more listeners. I'm saying that because you guys are sitting there telling me what you think you're going to do. And business is a lot harder than you think. And so they're going to start a charcuterie board business. And he is way up in a
like a woodworking business that makes charcuterie boards.
No, they're going to they're going to bring charcuterie to corporate events and other networking events. And it's a great idea. Okay. But
I mean, we would pump it up if they bring us one on the podcast, don't you think?
I think we'll get them there, but I really want them to listen to this because he is pretty well up and pretty high up in a pretty large firm, and she is the boss babe, and she is pretty high up in a big accounting firm. And I'm like, if you think that's going to bring the family together and you guys are going to make that same amount of money right off the bat, that's a lot of salami. That's a lot of cheese,
A lot of cheddar.
and I don't think that's going to happen. So I think, getting the business plan, figuring out a way to do it. I think it can work. I've actually seen a charcuterie board company come to one of my networking events. I think they did an amazing job. But it's going to be a labor of love. And the one guy was the chef. The wife was the business person around it. I think they have a good idea, but they also, one of them has a full-time job. So they work it around. And I think that one worked for them as they get that thing going. But these guys, if they were thinking about just quitting their jobs, cold turkey, see where I'm going, cold salami, a little prosciutto, a little bit mortadella. Okay. Anyway, back to this.
So we've gone Harry Potter, baseball, charcuterie. Do we have a guest?
Oh, let's get to this. That's why you guys are all listening. Guys, we got a great guest today, Jeremy Shapiro from the Bay Area, San Francisco. got an all right baseball team out there. You might have heard of them, maybe not. San Francisco Giants.
How about a football team?
The 49ers, my friends.
Why didn't McCaffrey play the other day?
Because he was hurt.
He's never hurt.
Well, he actually does get hurt.
He's like Superman.
Well, he is Superman, especially to us us guys. But Jeremy Shapiro from the Bay Area actually runs mastermind groups, and we get a lot of people who want to come on this podcast and talk about their stuff. But what I really was drawn to was what Jeremy has built out there and how he has been able to see so many different businesses and help them out. So, Jeremy, welcome to the show. Let's go get after this thing.
Awesome. Thanks for having me on the show. Excited to be here.
He kind of had that look on his face like, am I going to actually, did they remember I'm here?
He did. Actually,
I was looking forward to talking Harry Potter and charcuterie. That's exactly the space we're in.
I love it. So, Jeremy, you didn't start in the Bay Area. Where did you start and how'd you get out there?
Airplane. It's usually the most direct and easiest way these days.
I actually would have gone horse and carriage. I mean, let's go.
Wells Fargo.
Yeah.
We got to worry about like dysentery in the river on the way. We'll lose Jeff. We don't want that. So, no, I'm originally actually from the Boston area, which is why I talk fast. And we were out there for quite a while until we moved to Europe for a year. And then from there, we decided to come out to sunny, gorgeous, amazing California.
Smart.
Where in Europe were you?
We were in northern Germany for a year.
What a cool life Jeremy lives.
He does.
Where are you in the Bay Area?
So we're right in the original capital of Silicon Valley, San Jose. So striking distance to San Francisco, to all your sports teams you're talking about, the coast, the mountains, and everything in between.
And Gilroy, the garlic capital of the world.
Yeah, that's right. Have you tried our garlic ice cream?
I have. I could not get that flavor out of my mouth for a long time.
Yeah.
Where else can you hear in a small business podcast about Gilroy, garlic capital of the U.S. or the world, sorry, and talk about garlic ice cream?
Whenever I'm riding down that way on my bike, at some point during the year, you just start to catch that just overpowering smell of garlic coming off the fields, and it's wonderful. But it is potent.
I growing up in an Italian family, we used to get an overwhelming aroma of garlic when one of my, in fact, I did not know his
name.
Nona
was in the kitchen.
No, it was actually when her friend would come over, and they moved to Florida, and he would come over and he reeked of the garlic coming out of the pores because he would eat it fresh every morning because that was supposed to be healthy.
That's good for your heart.
It was.
I don't recommend the garlic ice cream. I swear to God, to this day, I'm like, the locals must just laugh.
Well, they do because they're making it for you. No one actually eats it except for folks at the Garlic Fest.
Nice. So, Jeremy, how did you get into the mastermind business? I mean, this is not one you just wake up and go, hey, you know what? I think I'm a mastermind. I'm going to help other mastermind themselves. So how did you get into that?
So I've actually been a part of mastermind groups for decades. They've been so impactful and influential for me, over my entire career, which has always been running my own businesses in the service of other entrepreneurs. So there, as we know, for our listeners who don't know, within mastermind groups, which we can dive more into, some groups you can pay 5 or 6 figures a year, every single year just to be part of. And there's got to be an ROI there. And so even in those high-end kinds of groups like that I was part of, they were so valuable. Multi-million-dollar businesses got launched from ideas and conversations that came from behind those closed doors. And so it's always been just so important to me to get unblocked as an entrepreneur, to find that support, to be surrounded by folks who can celebrate your successes with you and help you through those challenges. And so trying out different formats, there's also like the accountability groups that meet like once a week for a half hour at a coffee shop or on Zoom, and there's pros and cons there. I really dialed into what format I found worked best for me and that I thought worked best for our member organizations. And that came down to getting together once a month for a full day to really dive deep and do the work on your business that most business owners never make the time to get to.
All right, let's start unpacking this, as they say. The mastermind stuff. Yeah, you actually hit on it. I think a lot of guys, number one, we're time starved. As small business owners, I remember when I first was introduced to the idea and say, hey, Chris, you got to do this. It's once a month. It's a full day. I'm like, I can't spare a day. He looked at me and said, you cannot not spare a day.
Exactly.
He said, you have to do this. It's your phase of where you are, what you've grown. If you want to get to the next level, you need to. And it was a mentor of mine. And so that was very powerful. But for a lot of us, there are a number of obstacles. Time is one. You mentioned the other one, money. So What are some other ones that you see, some objections of people who say, nah, I don't need that. I'm smart enough.
Yeah, well, so what I find is there's, when we have people who join us to try to mastermind for the day, they bring two things into the room with them, right? One is they bring in their area of expertise, their area of genius, or what I like to call like their superpower. There's something that we're all really good at in our business that others find challenging that we find easy, right? You might be amazing at lead generation or fantastic at sales or a wizard when it comes to operations. You see the Harry Potter tie in there?
Yeah,
right?
nice job.
Yeah, thank you. Charcuterie is up
Petrus
next.
Praetonus.
Chris is still trying to cast spells.
Salami prosciutto.
Wouldn't it be
Okay,
cool if the computer just blew up when you did that?
Oh, God.
You got
Right.
post-production, put those effects in. So, everyone comes in with something they're really good at, right? Everyone also usually comes into the room with a big burning question, right? There's something that's keeping them up. They feel plateaued or stuck, and they feel if only I got an answer to this one question, what a different world I would be in, right? So that's the things they know, and the things they don't know. And when you don't know something, you can search online, you can ask your mentor, your coach, or your peers questions. You can find a book on the subject. You can go find answers when you have a question. But all those big pivots and all those big ahas and all those new really game-changing moments that I see time and time again actually come from a third category. And that's the stuff you don't know. So if our real growth happens from the things that we don't know about, how do you find out about those? Because you can't search for them.
Because you don't
Right?
know about them.
You don't know.
You don't even know about
You don't know. I love this. Actually, we use this it's a sales technique as well. When you're in the home services world, you don't know what you don't know. Even though I come in there and tell everybody I know everything about a home.
I know there's a lot that I don't know.
Right, but, whoa, this is getting really deep.
Whoa.
You're like a
But
mastermind.
before we get too far down,
yeah.
what is your superpower?
My superpower. I honestly, I mean, full without being a bullshitter. I think
I
leadership.
think being a bullshitter is a superpower, but go ahead.
Well, yeah. Well, bullshitter one. Leadership. I think developing people.
Yeah.
Getting the most out of people. I think that's probably mine. How about you?
Yeah, I don't have to think about it.
All right, we'll get back to you.
Yeah.
All right, so back to Jeremy, shall we?
Let's.
All right, so you talked about the three things. You don't know what you don't know. So when you show up at the mastermind group, that's what you're trying to uncover with them?
Well, so what usually brings folks to me is that big burning question, right? So they come into the mastermind room looking for answers to their question. But when I see the pen moving the most, the eyes go wide, the smile creep across the face with those big aha moments, is never during an individual person's own hot seat. It's actually during everyone else's hot seat. That's where those big ideas come up. And that's not what you were looking for. But it's the biggest thing you get, the biggest takeaway you have. And so that's led to so many game-changing pivots.
Because your mind, that's the one thing I have found as well. Your mind is open while you're solving somebody else's problem. It's not as personal. It's not as guttural. It's not, oh my God, if I don't pick this thing right, I'm going to be up at 3:30 in the morning on the couch sweating again, which perhaps I do.
It's the same concept of like you go out and you take somebody new to their driving range and you're just kind of giving them some thoughts and you're helping them with their swing. And next thing you know, you're just drilling them.
You're grilling it. Yeah. Right. So I think Jeremy hit on a great point, especially when you're in a room with other people who are passionate about what they do, love what they do, and obviously got a lot of brain power going on because they're masterminds. Right.
That's kind of a lofty title. I mean,
it is.
You better be a mastermind if you're going to be in a mastermind group.
Yeah. But Jeremy, so go back to it. I think, you put yourself on the hot seat. For people who haven't done that, explain that a little bit on how you guys run that.
Yeah, so over the years, we've dialed into what I feel is our best hot seat format. Every member has a chance during their hot seat to go over 4 different areas of or agenda topics, right? And this can come out in all different ways, but the 4 areas we want them to hit are what they've done from their accountability list between last meeting and now, because accountability is big, especially for us entrepreneurs who aren't accountable to anyone, right? 2 is what's working. 3 is what's not, and 4 where you need help. Right. So what I find fascinating, and the reason there are so many good, big, huge pivots and ahas during everyone else's hot seats, is others are sharing what's really going on in their business, what's working and what's not. Right. And this isn't just a one-way broadcast presentation. Right. No, it's an interactive conversation. When someone is sharing a new marketing campaign they're running that's getting really good results, you get to ask them questions. You get to challenge their assumptions on things. You get to ask them to dig a little bit deeper or to share a resource or a vendor or so on. And you get the benefit of everyone's wins and the lessons from everyone's challenges they've faced as well. So that is so, so powerful in getting unstuck, with roadblocks you didn't know were coming up for you, or that were right there that you just had your blinders onto.
I think that one's great. You get in there and you start to have those four.
How long does that go on?
Well, let's talk about that. So obviously you have a little bit of an agenda. You kind of control a lot of people who I gotta feel. I've been around enough of these guys to know they're a lot more like me than they are the accountant who just sits there as a small wilted flower in the corner.
So you can't get them to shut up.
So there's a lot. What? I don't know.
And they don't. They never take you to their country club, even though we're looking at it right now.
I'm gonna mute you right now. You can't quit looking out there. It's getting windy. So yeah. So how do you control these guys, and what does your agenda look like so you can maximize the time?
Yeah. So, we make sure everyone has a dedicated hot seat. There's a timer. They know how much time is left. They may not be looking at that clock, but we remind them and give them their warning so we stay on track. Because as a facilitator, a failure for me is getting to the end of the day and someone didn't get a chance to have a hot seat, or they only got a few minutes. Like, that to me is totally unacceptable. So we got to make sure we stick to the timing of keeping everyone on track. And to your point about the kind of personalities that usually lead to founders, right? We have ideas. We're used to being able to say what's on our mind. And so we got to make sure the conversation stays on track as well. What can sometimes happen is you'll have a member sharing something that's not that important, but the group wants to jump on and talk about that. But that's not where that person actually needs help, right? So it's important as a facilitator to help bring that conversation back to where that person needed to go so they can get the help they need. Otherwise, they end up at the end of their hot seat and they haven't even gotten to the items that were important to them that brought them there that day.
Do you have what it takes to start your own business? Are you tired of the 9-to-5 corporate job and ready to make that leap into entrepreneurship? You need to check out From the Zoo to the Wild, the book by successful entrepreneur Chris Lalomia. This book is a unique perspective on the journey into the wild world of home services and delivering excellence in service while working in customers' homes. Lalomia shares his path to success in this industry, including proven customer relationship strategies, award-winning customer experience processes, and a unique approach to training a team of service technicians to perform at the highest levels. Whether you're a small business trying to scale or a franchise operation, From the Zoo to the Wild will give you the mindset, habits, leadership style, and customer-oriented processes to succeed as a small business owner in the world of home services. So if you're ready to take control of your future, get a copy of From the Zoo to the Wild today, available on Amazon.
So I have a question, Jeremy, that Chris talks about how people reach out to him who've listened to the podcast because he talks about his mastermind group so much. Can I join your mastermind group? And so I've got a couple of questions about that. But one is, who tends to join a mastermind group? My mindset is it's somebody who's already successful, but just kind of needs that peer group and that accountability. But do you have people who come in who are maybe not quite where they want to be, and they also realize they need that accountability?
It's so interesting. You hit on like 3 different main drivers in just that sentence, right?
Okay.
And there's
That was a
often
long
overlap.
sentence. I was kind of rambling. There weren't very many commas. Yeah, I landed.
It was a
there.
great segue.
Yeah.
It was perfect.
It was great. It was perfect.
It's like the side of a charcuterie board. It's beautiful.
Oh, there
Look
we
at
go.
that. I know.
All right, I'm nibbling on the edges. All right, let's go.
So, yes, we, as entrepreneurs, we know how lonely it can be at the top, right? Who do you talk to about your wins or your failures or your challenges, right? It's not usually family, friends, team members, right? Vendors. Who do you talk to about this stuff?
Yeah, you can't let anybody know you're struggling.
Well, it's tough, right? Like you let your, your team members know you're struggling and they start polishing the resumes,
Right.
You let your vendors know you're struggling and the credit terms go away.
Exactly.
Yeah. On the flip side, you tell, team members how fantastic things are. They look for raises. You tell vendors how great things are and prices go up. Like, who do you talk to? As an entrepreneur, it's really lonely. So when you can surround yourself with like-minded individuals on a similar journey, you can support each other along the way because you all have those different superpowers you bring to the table. So what gets folks in the room, back to your question? Entrepreneurs who realize they need the accountability, those who are looking for that camaraderie amongst others to share those successes and get unblocked. Often, though, it's folks who feel they've plateaued, right? They feel stuck or blocked. Everyone has had success in their own right, right? And now they just feel they're doing the same thing and not getting the result they want.
I need a mastermind group for my golf game.
Well, we'll find out in a couple of weeks, there, big boy, because I invited you to a
tournament somewhere else. You're not bringing me to your club.
No, because I can't. I
You're-
mean,
I know you're
I can't embarrass
embarrassed.
I can't embarrass myself with that. I mean, I have a reputation to protect.
Well, if you think about it, right?
Perhaps I'm on a letter.
You're out on the green, right? You're looking at other people on the same journey as you are, doing things their own way. And you notice someone's body position is a little different, or they use a different kind of driver than you might have used, or they have some different strategy, and it's just what you're talking about. And you see what worked well for them and what didn't, and you can emulate what worked well and avoid the pitfall of what didn't work well.
I am super impressed with this guy, Chris, and I think we should take a sidebar because we brought up Harry Potter and he's woven it in. We brought up golf, he's woven it. We should like challenge, like what kind
Charcuterie.
of crazy things can we throw out and see if
Oh,
Jeremy
you
can
haven't
weave it
played
back in?
slideshow roulette?
No, but I think we're about to. I love it.
Well, let me ask you this.
yeah.
So when you're putting together a mastermind group, are you putting people together who are in the same stage of their journey?
Yeah, and I love how you brought that up because historically, our mastermind groups were, our
It's
mastermind
okay.
groups.
Chris likes to be the center of
We
attention.
don't
Everyone
have a
wants-
contest. You just got done saying
we
that.
absolutely
I'm
totally
down
keep
to.
score.
All right, but I do want to hear this. So I want to figure out how you get people, because you actually hit on two things we're going to come back to. But how do you get people on the same stage together, and what are you identifying?
So this might actually help you out from what you were saying before about people saying, "Hey, can I be in your group as well?" We have an application process, right? So people who are interested in being part of the mastermind complete a multi-page application. We then hop on a call. We go over that, and if there's a fit there, and if a mastermind seems like it might be a good option for them, then we invite them to invest in a 1 day with us. So they try out the mastermind for a full day. They participate fully as a member would, and then afterwards we debrief. And we're looking for them to say, yeah, this is the group I've been looking for. This is great. But more importantly, we're looking for the group to say, we think this member would be valuable to the group and get value from that group. So that application process lets us screen for folks in the right stage, that have the right mindset, that are, open to being a good contributing member to the group.
So you're in San Francisco. Mike from Milwaukee, Wisconsin wants to be in a mastermind group. Does he call you? Do you set him up somewhere up there? Does he have to come to the Bay Area?
Oh, you're talking about the Green Bay area. I love that you mentioned that. Yeah. Everyone's got a Bay Area.
This guy's really good.
He is good.
Yeah.
You got me on that one.
It's funny.
I was
We
like,
were
damn, we
always
got that.
in person, right here in San Jose. And then the pandemic hit. So we quickly shifted to a virtual Zoom model, and all of our folks would just join in by Zoom, and that was fine. And we started getting folks from around the country. We had one gentleman who legit joined us from Green Bay. We were like at our lunch break when he was like, where are you guys all located? And realized we were not in his bay. We had someone join us from Maryland Bay. Didn't know people identify that way, but Maryland Bay. So yeah, we since then, we're in person and virtual. And we even have folks that, will fly out for meetings or just, Zoom in when they're traveling and whatnot. So no, it started off, origin story wise right here in the Bay Area, but we have folks from all over now.
Awesome.
No, I love that part. All right, I want to go back to this again. So stages, growth mindset, but you also you hit that, and that's when I go back to who is a good candidate for a mastermind. It's somebody who realizes they really are stuck. So you don't know what you don't know, but you do know that you can't get out of this bag yourself. You can't get out of your own way. The bag, you just can't get out of it. As they say, you can't get out of a wet paper bag, boy. And you can't. And that's the person I have found has been good. The one who comes in and goes, yeah, you know what? I'm smart. Everything's running great. I'm like, yeah, I don't think you need to join our group, man. Even though I've got a bunch of friends like that, business owners, and I look at them and they tell me how great they're doing. And then you hear about this, that, and the other that you're like, yeah, maybe that group wouldn't be so bad for you.
Chris, how did you feel about being held accountable?
I did not like it. And I would tell you that one the most uncomfortable I've been, besides just running the business in there, is when I go on the hot seat. And I'll bring issues in. And it is hard because the way our group works is you pose the problem and then you ask your question you want solved. And then the group gets to go around, grill you on your situation. And then they go back and say, well, because the right question gets the right answer, we think the question may look like this instead. And then you on the hot seat get to pick the question. And I tell you, man, I've had to pick some uncomfortable fluff.
But the whole time, this is good. I hate it, but it's good.
No, I hated it. I didn't even no, I'm not that good. I'm not
You're not that emotionally mature.
I am definitely not that emotionally mature. I would tell you, with my group, I've shared this with a lot of people. And Jeremy, you hit on it. They know more about me and my business than anybody else. And even Alan, really, because I mean, even as much as we talk here in the podcast and stuff, but I have really,
you traitor.
I have. I'm holding back on you. But don't worry.
Going back to the golf thing for a moment, though, right?
Huh?
You know how you can feel like you're doing all the things right? But then you can look at, the person you're out there with and you can see what they're doing wrong. Looking at ourselves, it's hard to get perspective from our neck to all the mechanics. I was out for a run the other day with a friend of mine, and as we're getting towards the end of the run, he looked over at me and he said, "Hey, Jeremy, your core is collapsing." And I'm like, "What does that even mean?"
I don't know.
Like,
What does that mean when you're running? What are you supposed to? You're supposed to hold your core together?
I don't know. I was doing fine, but it was a longer run. We're getting towards the end of it, and apparently something had changed in my form. I can't see what I'm doing. I just know how it feels, and it felt the same. So I tried to make some intentional adjustments, and he's like, "No, not that. No, drive more from here." And he's sort of giving some tips as we're finishing up the run. And that is not something that I felt different about, but someone else saw that I could never have seen on my own. And then when I made the course correction and did the thing I thought I was supposed to do, that was also wrong. And so it really needs someone with that outside perspective to see me, see what I'm doing, and provide that rapid fire feedback. So just in the same way, when you're looking at someone else golfing or they're giving you feedback, it's feedback you can't give to yourself. And when we're there talking about our business and what's going on, what's working, what's not, and what we think our question is, that's where we find out where we've got blinders on and how we might actually have, like you said, the wrong question in the first place.
Yeah, that has been very powerful in the hot seat. It's still, to Jeremy's point earlier, this is where I get a lot of benefit, is that when other guys go on the hot seat, and then we end up with answering the question and providing advice. And I am really good at that, Alan. I love
Really? I find that surprising.
Oh my God. I can't,
Normally you hold your opinions to yourself.
That bell goes off, and usually what I'm doing is I'm lobbying for everybody else. I said, who would like to give me more of their time so I can keep going? No, but you sit there and you're espousing all this great advice, right? And then you shut up and you go, maybe you should take some of that yourself there, big guy.
Yeah.
Ooh, that hurts a little bit. What's a good size for a mastermind group? How many people?
Yeah, so this is, again, one of those things I've experienced a spectrum of, right? I've been in groups where it's like, 2 or 3 of us, and there's value there. I've been in groups where there's like 20 of us, but that 20-ish of us, a little more. And we really needed 2 full days to get through everyone. But that's, again, more of one of those, higher end destination groups. You're only getting together a few times a year. So that's, there's some downsides to that. So where I found really that sweet spot is a once a month for a full day of working on your business and 8 to no more than 10 people in the room. Beyond that, you're getting beyond a boardroom size. The hot seats are too short and you really can't get into what's going on.
All right. So let's talk about this a little bit more, because this all costs money. Do you find that these guys, and I don't like to spend a dollar.
You're so sly.
I am. Was that subtle?
Yeah, super subtle. I have no idea what you're talking about.
Right. So let's talk about that. What is a typical cost for a mastermind group? What should people think it's worth it to them per month? Because that's the other thing I've told other people. Jeremy, I don't want you to work for free, because if you're working for free, you're not going to like it and you're not going to be here very long. And then there goes the mastermind group. So what is a number that we should expect to spend as a small business owner on this?
So on the high end, like I mentioned, I've been parts of groups where you write a 5 to 6 figure check once a year to stay in the group. And the first time I got into one of those groups, I handed over the largest check I'd ever written. And it was really hard to let that piece of paper go. Now, the person who was organizing the group made me all kinds of promises about how we were going to ROI that and how I'd see, this great ROI from what was going to come from that. The truth is, I never got what was promised in that regard. I got something else, though. I got a tremendous network of people who, to this day, when they call, I take that call. These are lifelong connections. These are, people who I've been through it with, right? Who have been so resourceful and helpful to me. I launched multi-million-dollar businesses from ideas that came from that group, right? I had my initial customers and early iteration feedback come from that kind of group. That group is way more than paid for itself, but not in the way that I expected. And that's okay, right? So that's sort of on one end of the spectrum. On the other end of the spectrum, there are, I call these like your coffee shop groups, your accountabilities. You get together once a week on a quick Zoom call or in a coffee shop, and those are usually like free. On the high end, those have been like, 97, $297 a month to be part of. But with such low skin in the game, like the turnover is kind of high, the show rate's kind of low, and you don't really get to dive deep into what's going on during that little time. And not a whole lot changes in the business, big picture wise, over the course of 7 days. So that's why that once a month cadence and that budget between those two, I find fits much, much better. You do want to be mindful that much like you look at your country club membership, right? If that country club was free, is that the kind of country club you'd want to be in? Are those the folks you want to be golfing with?
No, that's why I keep Alan out. Oh,
right. So
Sore subject, Jeremy.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot.
Can I share a fun pricing story that came
Sure.
from Mastermind? Do we have time for that?
oh yeah, go.
So there's another category of Mastermind groups, which I don't even consider Mastermind groups. And that's where you get like a few hundred people together in a room at like little round tables for a few days. And like that, I don't consider Mastermind, but I've even been to those, right? So at one of these groups that I met someone who in his business, he was looking for a way to do more with his clients. So he had this idea of putting together a cruise. And he was like, all right, I'm going to line up of speakers and help educate my client base and help them out and all. And what he found is he did like wealth management. And what he found is that his clients really just wanted to do something fun. They weren't interested in seminars and speakers and all that kind of stuff. They just wanted to hang out. So they organized a cruise, had a great cruise. And when he got feedback afterwards, the feedback he got from folks was like, hey, look, like I know your minimum net worth for your clients is $1 million and up. And that's great and all, but like, there's just a lot of riffraff there. We love to do something with just our clients that are like, 5 million net worth and up. And he's like, oh, okay, got it. So the following year, he put together a secondary event for that higher group. And wouldn't you know it, the feedback afterwards from folks was like, hey, like this was great, but like, there's a lot of riffraff there. We want to hang out with folks with like the $20 million net worth and above, like myself, not like, these other folks. So he's like,
Well,
okay. So he
yeah, we are.
has a third tier, right?
We're not getting invited to that one. Double one.
So like this goes on, but what was interesting is his clients weren't looking for more education or more ROI or this and that.
So
they wanted to hang out with folks.
But were those
who were
guys
like-
showing up in like a Yugo and in Chevettes? No,
Right?
yeah, I don't think we're gonna make it. All right, you're an
Well-
F-150. I'm a Silverado. It's okay. All right,
It'd be perfectly fine. You can drive.
Keep
right
going.
now.
Keep going.
all right. Back
Yeah.
to your story. All right, so 20. Now here we go.
Right, but my takeaway for you is this: that people were looking to hang around with people like them at that similar stage for where they were at. So, like for us, what I found is occasionally I'd find folks who were looking to be part of our mastermind for established, proven businesses, cash flow positive, with a team, scaling, and so on, but they were too early stage. And what I found is like earlier stage founders, right, are also entrepreneurs, and we've all been there before too, but they're not a good fit for that room. So we actually ended up spinning out a founders group. This is specifically for those earlier stage businesses. And what I find is that established business owners are sharing what they're doing and looking to refine that and looking to, get the input on what they're already doing and find out what others are doing. The earlier stage pre-launch or early launch businesses have a lot more how do I questions because they're not doing it and they want to know how. And those two groups can go together in a mentor role, but not in a let's share the room and talk about our businesses at the same time situation.
Yeah, I found the same thing in our group as well. It's that different stages. You're like somebody's just starting, they're a solopreneur. You're like, yeah, you know what? I feel like we're giving more than we're getting, and we love giving.
Yeah.
I mean, again, everybody in my group has been great over the years, but there's been a couple where you're like, you're just not there yet. In terms of you being able to give back, it's hard. And back to you birds of a feather want to flock together. You want to be with groups, but on the flip side, part of the mastermind group I'm part of now he's added a few more. They've actually he bought another couple groups because, long story short, it's not a franchise thing. It's unfortunately this guy was passing away and he picked up his business. Some of these guys are CEOs of $50 and $100 million companies.
Yeah.
And I'm like, so what am I going to give you as a handyman running a $7 million business? It's just
not just
not
that,
the
but
same.
like what are the stuff they're sharing are you realistically able to implement in your business?
Right. It's just
Right?
not, we're not in the same phase. And having,
You're not on their cruise.
I guess I'm not going to that cruise,
No.
but I am going to go to the Motley Crue cruise.
Yeah, you can hang with me at Talladega, I guess.
Yeah, we'll go to Talladega. Come on, F-150. Let's drop that tailgate. You and we're going to party.
Let me ask
We
you
had
this.
someone we had someone who joined us and, had a significantly larger business than everyone else in the room. So he's talking about, managing his C-suite of executives who oversee the individual locations and comp packages and all these different things that are successful yet smaller business folks are looking at saying like, I don't have a C-suite. Like I got an operations person, right? So like, not that everyone didn't enjoy the meeting in the room, but that advice just isn't applicable. And the phase of journey that person on is just not the same.
Now that you've got everything dialed in, what's your retention rate like?
Yeah, good question. So, like I mentioned, for folks who are interested
What a bad day for Chris.
Yeah. Chris, you need better questions, man. You know what?
I do.
Maybe
You
you
know
can
what?
help Chris with his questions.
Have Jeremy back.
You know what? So both of you guys, you're not getting my charcuterie reward. How about that? Huh?
But we can just charcuterie multiply us and we'll get a few of them.
Oh, wow.
My brie will not be for you, my friends.
So, when people come in and they want to test drive the mastermind group, that's sort of like a one-time offer to try it out for a day, right?
Sure.
If there's a fit, then we're looking for, annual commitments from there on, right? It's only valuable to the group if you show up and you continue showing up. That way people really know your business and you really know theirs and you're not re-explaining yourself over again every single time. That continuity is important. So retention's high and that's important for the group as well.
So how many groups are you running a month right now?
It varies. And one really cool thing that's come up, over this past year is as we talk about like systems, processes, and people is actually starting to have other people follow the system of how to facilitate the groups. And that's been a cool next step for us, which I've really enjoyed.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. That's also turned into, I've had folks ask me about, two different, related things. One is like, can we get the mastermind system in a box? Like, Jeremy, we want to run masterminds. Like, can you just tell us how to do this thing? Which is kind of cool. And other folks were like, look, I want to have a mastermind in the business. Can you facilitate or run this thing for us? And like, that's been an interesting direction to be exploring as well.
Do you ever have to ask people to leave a group?
So we've had to have conversations with some members at times. You guys had touched on earlier, like, people have opinions and want to share things and distill their wisdom on others, right?
So let's name him Chris, just for example.
Hypothetically, of course.
Yeah.
We would ask Chris who he wants to kick out.
Nice.
Oh, I thought Chris was getting kicked out.
Well, that's what he's saying.
Yeah.
He said they're going to ask Chris, hey, who do you think ought to be kicked out? Jeremy,
Exactly.
I'm so glad
Yeah.
you came to me because I know exactly who is not working well.
I'm
Chris?
looking at where you're looking. Yeah. So no, what can
I
come
know
up is
these
people
little
can
kid
get
games. No, I really don't, but okay.
people can be passionate, right? As entrepreneurs, we're passionate, we're excited, and that's a good thing, right? So
That is
Goes
your
a long way.
superpower.
That is my superpower, probably
Yeah.
passion.
so imagine like a room full of Chris's, right?
Oh my
What are those
God.
conversations?
Deafening. Yeah.
Have another sip. That's good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, a room full of Chris's,
I've been there. I've been in a room full of Chris's.
right?
That's
So-
Christmas Eve,
And
right?
I was grabbing my expectus patronus wad, and I was just start taking some of these for it out. You know what I'm saying? Like, you talking too much, bro. Shut up, will you?
Right. So at times conversations can be heated in a good way, right? Because people are passionate about their idea or their solution, right? And so that's not so much a matter of removing someone from a group, but it's a matter of moderating the conversation, keeping it respectful, and making sure everyone knows like this is all coming from a place of love, right? But problematic areas we've seen are if people aren't open to input, right? They just shut down what others are saying. Like that's not going to make for a good member, right? If they aren't asking questions themselves, they're just sitting back quietly the whole time, that's also not going to make for a good member. So there's a few things we look for, and almost all of those come up either beforehand during the application review or during the test drive day. It has been rare, if ever, something's come up after the fact that we didn't see at some point leading up to that.
So we're coming towards the end of this. So let me ask you a question. What's a great day for Jeremy? And I don't ask this a lot of people. I just at the end of the day, when you're done, what do you go,
He's
man?
running with a tight core is what I'm hearing.
Well, yeah, right.
I'm
I'm just
there.
like, I'm running to make sure my lungs don't come out of my body.
Right?
And I don't like running. I've actually had to take the stair stepping just to keep up.
Mary could hook you up with one of those little chairs that go up the stairs, and you don't have to just stairs
No,
ever again.
I'm doing it to stay in shape. So I keep drinking. Yeah,
Oh,
but
so
I
you
can't
keep
run.
So then you haven't played the golf game where you hit it and run as fast as you can to where your ball lands and keep going, and whoever gets to the end
You know what?
wins.
We're gonna go play golf together, Jeremy, and you're gonna do that, and I'm gonna get my ass in the golf cart, grab my beer, and I'm gonna pass your ass as I go to my
Well,
next.
we've
goal.
got a problem there because I don't golf, so I'll need some help with that. But I'll run off of
You're
that.
going to be
ball.
running a lot,
Even
Jeremy.
better.
That
So
ball's
much
going to be
running.
going everywhere.
So what's a great day for me?
Yeah, what's a great day for you?
Yeah. So, I'm usually up before the family, which I love, and out the door for, a run or a ride or something. And then, one of the great things I love about entrepreneurship is what I call entrepreneurial freedom. And that lets me really craft my own schedule. So that's being there for the kids and getting them off for their day every day and being fully present with them as a dad. Taking care of whatever my team needs in the morning and getting them unblocked. And then I'm either out for a good, almost full day bike ride, going somewhere fun. I'm working with entrepreneurs one-on-one to get them towards that entrepreneurial freedom. And I'm there with, within the community, the school, and everywhere else to be present and, help others out. And then back in my fave kitchen, cooking up dinner for the fam.
All right, so you like cooking?
I do.
Oh,
Yeah. Give us a couple of your
favorite. No,
yeah.
the favorite. What is like if I said, Jeremy, I'm coming out there. I want to have your favorite dinner. What are you making for me?
Oh my goodness, there's a good list of family faves. It was one of the things that I love is this summer we were traveling for 9 weeks, and through much of that, it's hotels in various places where you're not settling down long enough to be using the kitchen at all. And at some point, my son looks up to me. We're in France, and he's like, don't tell me we're going out for bagels and baguettes and croissants again. And I'm like, oh, this rough life we're living. I'm sorry.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Sorry, son.
Here's a little violin. No, but at some point, hey, Dad, when are we getting to our longer term stay where we're gonna have the kitchen and get back to your cooking again? And so, we did get to, the end of the trip. We had a 4-week, longer term stay, and got to the store, and the kids already had their list of Dad, we can't wait to be cooking this and that, and can we do that? And we got Dad's cooking back again. So it was good. I love it. They love it.
What?
Yeah, what do you make?
I'm getting hungry.
Because we're a bunch of cooks here.
Love it. So there's a fair amount of Indian dishes I love. So, lentils, red and yellow dals are fantastic. There's a tofu sag paneer, which is a family fave. So that's in a really good coconut cream spinach sauce with, sauteed tofu tossed in turmeric inside of there, which is wonderful.
Do you like your Indian food spicy, or do you keep it mild?
Depends on the audience. We keep it medio. Taco night's a favorite as well. I mean, we're here in California. So we lay out a great spread.
Tuesday.
I have my Taco Tuesday shirt, which I wear on Taco Tuesday when we make Taco Tuesday.
See, that's a good dad right there.
That's a good day.
Right?
How old are your
Tonight's
kids?
pizza night. So I do from scratch pizzas, which are fantastic. So yeah.
What kind of style dough do you do?
So I've moved towards thin crust. That's been nice. And so I get the dough pre-cooked a little bit to crisp it up. Then we break it out, top it, and fire it back again.
All right. So Alan is an aficionado of the Neapolitan style pizza.
Fantastic.
Dough. Yeah. So he's been doing that. I cannot get it down and get it to work at all. So he said, you're going to come over but I got to come over on a Saturday and then I come over back on a Sunday just to see it come out.
Come hang overnight.
That's a good friend.
Yeah.
During
during
the pandemic, Dad's Bakery was running pretty strong. We were firing something different every day, from focaccia on bagels going in at 4 a.m. on Friday morning, to pancakes and waffles on the weekend, to sandwich bread on Mondays, pizza on Tuesdays. Every day we had something getting fired. And it was fantastic because most of these doughs are good 2-day doughs. So you get one started, you get it working, so it's ready for the next day, and so on.
So how old are the kids?
So we have an almost 10-year-old and a 7.5-year-old.
Wow. Remember those days, Alan?
I do. That was when they still like me.
Yeah. That's in the dad's a hero stage.
I'm milking that for every moment I got.
Are any of them girls?
Yeah, our oldest is my daughter. Yeah.
Oh, beat Tomati. And now I give you this. Please don't be like my daughter. It was so tough raising. She is 26 now.
You genuflected and then cast a spell all in the same
because that's how hard it is to get over this chick, man. This girl's tough, and she's coming back. She's in PA school now. She's 26 years old. She's coming back. We're having she's got a 2-week break. So we're getting ready to. That's why we're doing some podcasting now, because we're heading off to Belize in just a couple days.
Nice.
But my daughter is full on tough. Yeah, and I tell you what,
she made you better, right?
She did. And I would tell you what, she goes, Dad, I'm afraid to bring a boy to the house. I'm like, if that kid comes across this house, I'm going to be like, I'm afraid for him. Not because of me. I'm going to say, good luck with that.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
she had one boyfriend. He came in the door, and I said, so you're doing this, huh? He goes, what's that mean, sir? I said, you know what I mean. And my kid's a Catholic, Catholic school. This is a Catholic kid. I said, you're doing this. And he took it the wrong way. I meant, no, you're actually going to think you're going to date her, huh? I'm like, all right.
Yeah,
We'll
good luck
see
with
how-
that.
Yeah. And it didn't last. She chewed him up, spit him out. Off he goes. All right. Jeremy, this has been awesome. How do people find your mastermind group? Because I know they're all dying. We're going to put this in the show notes.
Yeah, so everything's over at bayareamastermind.com. You can find our test drive application processes there, as well as resources for things we talked about, like how to run a great hot seat, how to start your own mastermind group, how to find a mastermind group near you, and so much more.
Oh man, that's a lot of good stuff.
It is great stuff. This has been a great episode.
It has. Jeremy, you're awesome.
You know what? If you didn't learn something today, that's on you, because we're having a blast. If you guys weren't driving around picking stuff up that Jeremy was putting down, you got to figure that out. And if you haven't had good charcuterie, go out and get some, because that's where you're going to have it happen. And if you can't, go get yourself a Harry Potter.
Flipendo, everybody.
Flipendo, we're out of here. Gotta go.
Cheers.
Home run to bring it back to baseball for you.
Yes.
In the bay.
And it's over.